let's talk about throwing in a fun little mechanic for your heist missions. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, here with one more quick tips for DMs, or at least one more. Today, we're going to talk about a fun little mechanic I've been playing around with that I think would be great to throw in for any of your missions or adventures that are going to be focused and centered around heists. This is something that falls in line with my own philosophy of letting your players be involved as far as affecting story, impacting the gameplay, doing all sorts of things to just get them just a little bit more invested and get the creative juices flowing and the brainstorming kicking off into a massive storm of creativity. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, then go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down there to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now, let's actually talk about what the mechanic is. What I'm calling it is kind of the aha mechanic, or even the but as fate would have it, or however you want to phrase it. Just something that you can give the players to let them put a little bit of a twist on a situation. And this comes inspired mostly by a lot of heist movies like Ocean's 11. Those moments where they flash back or cut away to other scenes where they show the little clever thing happening that makes all the thieves seem like they're a lot more clever than they might actually really be. It's a good way to make that happen, but in this instance, it's a way that can actually feel clever for your players. They are going to be very clever for coming up with it. And that's just letting them have a set number of these moments that they can play at different points in the game. Now, this is going to require a bit of trust on your part and on the player's part. You don't want to just abuse this or let your players come up with the most outrageous, outlandish things possible. Like, oh, but it turns out all the guards were dead. No, you want it to be something that's relevant to the plot. As an example, let's just say you're robbing a gambling house, a major casino. And you have everything set up, and where part of this high fantasy security system comes in is this large overhanging crystal that just generates these scintillating rays of light that dance around, providing illumination and entertainment. But on top of that, unbeknownst to much of the patronage, is that the light from the crystal actually has dispelling effect on illusions. So that way, anybody attempting to use the illusion school of magic to disguise themselves has those illusions fade away. So nothing can really be hidden. Not only that, but if you're playing, say, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, where they have the advantage and disadvantage mechanic, rolling 2d20 and either taking the better result for advantage or the worst result for disadvantage. In this case, part of what this crystal does is it blocks anybody not aligned with or working for the house to not have advantage. It's just negated down to regular rolls. Only staff who work for the casino are allowed to have advantage checks. That's pretty devastating. That's a pretty terrifying prospect for players to be facing, especially if your class has mechanics that revolve around giving people advantage or inspiration, things like that. Having something in place like that presents a huge threat. So, what if during the course of planning and undertaking the adventure, one of your players goes, aha, but because we did so much to increase foot traffic and get more people coming into this place, stretching the casino's staff and security thin, they've had to go on a little bit of a hiring spree, so they weren't able to be quite as careful or thorough about things as they might normally be. And we were able to get one of our party members hired on, and they became part of security, and they learned that there's a mage who makes special badges on site there that registers staff as members of security. So now all they need to do is figure out how to lift one of those badges, and another player can go, but as fate would have it, now that we know about this security person, this member of our party was able to go and seduce them. So now you have these two separate players, the one who was hired on as security and the other one who is making this diplomacy check, this seduction check, however you want to play it out. They each have to make these separate checks to see if, oh yeah, these scenarios, they were able to succeed at them. And because, this is clever gameplay using a mechanic you've introduced, and it's only possible because they're paying attention and they're getting creative and involved and they're not abusing things, you can easily give them advantage on these checks. So that way, when they go and get hired on, they can make their checks, and if they succeed, then yeah, okay. Player 1, they get hired on. Player 2, they don't succeed at seducing the mage. They don't succeed at distracting them long enough to where they can lift a couple of these extra badges out of their office. So they now have to come up with a different solution. But now they have more information in place, and you have more information in place about this casino's security, about how the security system differentiates between people aligned with the casino and everybody else, essentially. So now the players have another step that you and they have helped create, and now they can try to figure out another way of either copying or getting extra versions of this badge, so that way each member of the team can have them, and they can now have full access to their advantage checks or any other mechanics that might be giving them multiple dice to roll or influencing bonuses that they might have on any particular rolls. But that's just one way of going about it. Certainly you don't want to let them have unlimited aha moments or clever twist moments. You want them to have just a set number, like 2, maybe 3 each. I'd say probably 2 is more than enough. Maybe if there's a player that's really taking charge with the planning process of all of this, if they're really role-playing and getting into it, then maybe give that person 3, because the leader, the brains of the operation, makes sense that they would have the foresight and the ability to create scenarios and situations where the party just might be able to turn things to their advantage. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Either way, hit the like or dislike buttons and we'll engage in discussion down below. And if you've made it this far and you haven't done so already, why not go down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. Also, if you have your own little clever ideas, why not go down to the comments below, share them, so that way we can all help to expand each other's knowledge. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time. Good gaming to you all, and you all have yourselves a good night.